Hello and welcome to Deathaura 96, and today we're going to talk about High School DxD. Today's topic will be Grayfia and what she did in the story. Specifically, I will cover the volumes that the anime didn't cover, starting from volume 11 and going all the way to through volume 2, as it is the perfect place to end this video. But before we start, here's the spoiler warning, as I'll be spoiling a lot of things in this video, so if you don't want to be spoiled, I would highly recommend that you go and read a light novel, as it is an enjoyable read. For everyone else, let's start with what Grayfia did in volume 11. In volume 11, she accompanied Caesarich to the Hyodo residence when Caesarich was getting the confirmation from Issa, Kiba and Akino for the middle class promotion test. In volume 12, during the demonic beast ride, she and the members of Caesarich Peerage went to the front line to fight the Jabberwocky but could not make much progress due to its high regenerative ability. They were later successful in defeating the Jabberwocky after Issa, in super gigantic balance breaker form, assisted them in battle and used the Longinus Smasher to destroy the Jabberwocky without a trace. In volume 13, she arrived at the Hyodo residence just before Issa and Caesarich in his satin red costume are about to fight and stop them. She also reprimanded the Lucifer group without Enko and Bahamut for not telling her when they are going to go to the Hyodo residence without prior confirmation. In volume 15, it was stated by Issa that Grayfia was shocked when she learned the fact that her brother Euclid was alive. The higher-ups of the underworld started to panic and became suspicious of Grayfia, thinking that she lied about his death, and began questioning her. In volume 18, it was mentioned that Grayfia was chosen to be the one to interrogate Euclid due to his request for his sister. When the Lucifuge siblings were reunited for the first time after centuries of separation, Grayfia harshly reprimanded Euclid for choosing to support Rizwan's atrocious ambition and engaging in terrorism solely because of their clan's law of complete obedience to Lucifer. In the extra life of DX1, Grayfia became the arbiter for the rating game rematch between Arias and Riser. In volume 21, during the Evil Dragon War, Grayfia appears along with the members of her husband's spirit, intending to follow him into the isolation barrier field. To her dismay, Caesarich uses a hypnosis method taught by Azazel on her as Grayfia fades into unconsciousness while lamenting the fact that Caesarich is leaving her behind. In volume 22, she returned to her usual duties as a maid, hiding her emotion about Caesarich's departure, which Rias was worried about. Grayfia took part in Rias' graduation, where she was sitting away from her family with Milkas staying next to her. She joins Issa's team as his queen under the alias of Bina Lisha for the rating game world tournament, with Issa and Ravel being the only ones who know her true identity. After 10 days, Grayfia received better ratings than the rest of the team. During the match against Barakwil, Grayfia assists Roswaisa and takes on Amaros, while also releasing extraordinary amounts of demonic power. By volume 23, Issa's team had already won another match for their continuing winning streak and prepared to face their next opponent, Dulio and his team of brave saints. Sometimes before the match, both teams had a meeting with the VIP room of the Hyodo residence to get all of their members acquainted with each other, but also used this time to get a better insight of their opponent, during which Grayfia also wore her disguise. The conversation had then shifted to that about breasts, as Dulio intended to get Issa fixated on Miriana's chest as part of their strategy. Griselda, who was not amused by it, accused Dulio of sexual harassment and turned towards Bina, believing that she must have had it rough, but she simply replies that it's the norm for her. It eventually came the day of the match against Dulio's team, where they fought at the Ajax Stadium and played the rating game under the rules of Rampaging Ball, in which both teams must find the goals that appear all over the game field and then show the ball in. As the game had commenced, their teams were met with thunderclouds created by Dulio that caused ice-cold heavy rain accompanied by lightning strikes that they had to dodge. The ball was fought over back and forth, but Asia's team were able to score the first 5 points thanks to Oreo. The match lasted for about 2 hours, with both teams having scored a roughly even amount of points. At one point during this time, she had to dodge Mirana's enormous light spear attack from the ground. This, however, caused her mask to croak partially, revealing her face and silver hair, but enough to keep her identity hidden to most. She then used her magic to take out a spare mask for her to wear. Eventually, she was able to get a hold of the ball and was about to score the lead for her team until the timer went off before she could, with Issa's team scoring fewer points than Dulio's at 144 against 146, thus resulting in their loss. During the match, Rias was able to figure out Grayfia's identity from when her mask broke. Rias confronted her after the game asking for her reasons. Grayfia revealed that she intends to make Issa a Satan, believing that this will eventually be the intention of her entire underworld and plans to support him in this endeavor. Rias stated that she will win even against her, to which Grayfia is glad to hear from her sister-in-law. In Volume DX4, she took part of her team strategy meeting for the upcoming match against Sona and her team. On the day of the match, she and her team headed to the Armorers Colosseum, and during the match, she was contacted by Ravel as she arrived to the above of the center of the field, which puts her on standby. Grayfia then unleashed her mass demonic power towards the area and retires Tsubame, and later shot fired another demonic power at Ruruko's location, causing her to retire. She and her team were victorious after Zenobia retired Sona in their fight. By Volume 24, while still under the guise of Bina, Grayfia assisted the DxD team in guarding the match between Rias and Vali team from Thanatos' Grim Reapers who were after Koneko and Kuroka. Both she and Rosweise created a barrier around the Fafnir Stadium and held it up until Thanatos was defeated. In Volume 25, Grayfia and her team watch as their rival teams attain victory after victory in the tournament in Issa's room. After the marriage interview between Rosweise and the chief god of Norse, Vidar, ended, Grayfia and the team began to analyze the members of the team Lasher of the Kings, and as Rosweise saw her senior, Brynhilde, use magic and her activation is faster than hers, Grayfia notes if their activation time and accuracy are better, they will lose by numbers. Grayfia and her team took part of a training session held by Ajak, along with Rias and her team, with the exception of Issa, who was called by Indra. On the day of the match against Team Lasher of the Kings, Grayfia arrives together with her team in Valhalla of Norse mythology as the Thor Stadium. When the match started, she flew together with Boa, Ryogon, Asya and Elementhilde towards the artificial Yggdrasil, while Issa and the others took the stairway. After passing through the hallway cavity of the Yggdrasil, Issa entrusted Grayfia and Asya to deal with the goddess Artemis. When the fight started, Grayfia unleashed her Saturn-class demonic power and deflected Artemis' divine arrows with her demonic energy. She and Asya managed to overwhelm because Artemis became distracted due to the mini Fafnirs attempting to take her underwear. Grayfia and her team celebrated at the Hyodo residence along with their rivals. She reappeared in the end of Chu Volume 1, traveling with her team to the Agares territory, announcing the match of the main stage of the tournament, and they will be facing Rias and her team in the first match. In Chu Volume 2, Grayfia journeyed with her team to the training camp in the mountains and was invited by Dryogon to assist her with her training and unleashing the strong devil aura in the progress. The next morning of their training, Grayfia assisted in making breakfast for the team and continued training with Dryogon. After finishing the training, she and her team watched the match between Sarok and his team against Team Shooting Star, with Sarok emerging as the victor. She then joined at the hot spring with Issa and told him that she heard about his date with Rias and her intent on making him a Saturn, but he revealed he has no interest in becoming one, so she decided to stay by his side until he was interested. Issa questioned about how he is fit to become a Saturn, which she revealed that he is receiving support from the children and his status as a hero for saving the underworld many times. Grayfia trembled after Issa mentioned Cizrich's name when he asked about her intentions. Was it her own, or was it because it was Cizrich's last words to him, which revealed to both, so Issa immediately decided to reject her request on becoming a Satan because she is Cizrich's queen and Milika's mother, much to her shock. He asked her to watch over Milikas more than him, after reminding her that he is lonely and still requests a mother figure since he is still young. After which Grayfia started to tremble as her hands covered her face. Unsure what to say, she suddenly left the hot spring. Grayfia and her team arrived at the Oppa Giant Stadium in the Gramarye territory for their match against Rias and her team. They meet with Issa's parents in the VIP room to see them off before the match, and they meet their bodyguard Mitsuru Kanzaki, and later see the hostility between him and Oryo until they left for the rating game. As the match began, Grayfia and the others were transported to the artificial Hyodo residence as their HQ and began to discuss their strategy. She accompanied Issa to the location of Rias and decided to challenge her to fight after Issa went to fight against Kiba, enveloped in her demonic aura as Rias entered her forbidden invade Balor, the princess, and started to fight against each other. Because of the conversation she had with Issa, Grayfia's demonic aura became unstable, as her attacks were overwhelmed by Rias and her bullet attacks were stopped due to Rias' third eye and created a spare from her demonic power, only to be repelled by Rias' own demonic spear. She gave her sincere words to Rias as she was tearfully defeated and eventually retired from the rating game. When her team was victorious against Rias and her team, Grayfia woke up in the hospital room and reverted back to her original form. She was greeted by her own son, Milikas, who came to praise her of her match and plans to rewatch all the matches she was in as being Alicia. Grayfia became shocked and asked her son if he was mad at her. She happily tells her it was okay, that she'd participate and watch her in the match was the best, causing her to shed tears and hugged her son and continued to apologize to him, leaving Milikas confused. With this, I covered everything that I wanted to cover on Grayfia's role in the story. And that'll be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more manga reviews and One Piece content. And until next time, take care.